So, if you have got a child who sometimes or often dishes out the bad attitude, and by the way, I do too, this video is especially for you and you're going to want to stay tuned. The difference for me right now is that even with a 16-year-old at home, left at home, I get the bad attitude rarely now, but I used to get it a lot. You see, most parents, we want to go for the solution. Like, let's just fix the crazy. And we want to go straight to the discipline. But if you go straight to the discipline without these three secrets to ending your child's bad attitude, they will fight you, particularly if you have a stubborn child. By the way, before we get to these three secrets, if you like this video, I would so appreciate you giving it a thumbs up and subscribing as well. So let's get right to it. What I am excited about is I have got a new book coming out called Love Parenting: 9 Steps to Inspiring Your Stubborn Child to Listen and Have a More Peaceful Home. And what I'm going to actually do is read you a part of my book, just a short part about what these three secrets to finally ending your child's bad attitude are. So here we go. I start with a quote, which is this: earning your stubborn child's respect is the simple result of doing what you say, being an example of integrity and compassion in action. So I'm just actually going to stop there for a quick moment and just ask yourself, how often are you really walking your talk? Are you doing what you say you want from your child? Many of us from time to time fall short in this area. And when we do, stubborn kids are smart kids. They see right through the hypocrisy and they don't trust it and they don't respect it. That's why it's so important to get the support you need to really be coming from a place of not only integrity, but authenticity and consistency as well. Okay, back to the book. So at the time of writing this, I have got a 16-year-old at home who occasionally tests and dishes out attitude. While he is a great kid, occasionally he puts me down. Last week, it was in front of family friends. My initial reaction: anger. Can you relate to this? Fortunately, these episodes are small blips in our relationship. Yet when he was 11 years old, it happened a lot. I am delighted to say this rough patch is a thing of the past. So how do we move through the chronic bad attitude? Well, I learned to sidestep instead of fuel his anger. Do you know how to do that? I also now listen to him with the goal of hearing and understanding his point of view. In another video, I talk about the importance of connecting before you correct. So, so important. Sometimes we put on our real critical glasses and we're constantly scanning for what's wrong. Not helpful to our loved ones. It required I lay aside much of my judgment, but this in turn inspired him to listen to me more. I smile to think of our connection now. Fun aside, last night he piggybacked me up our flight of stairs. First time this has ever happened. We laughed a ton, and recently we returned from an adventurous 4-night backpacking trip along the magical West Coast, a trip that's been on my pop-off list for decades. Am I a perfect parent? Far from it. Regularly, I use what I call the parenting pause that we spoke about in the last chapter. And for those of you that haven't heard about it, it's simply taking a breath, literally taking a breath before you answer. So often we get into an automatic response cycle that just fuels our angry child cycle by reacting instead of responding. So it's all about taking that beat, taking that time, and recognizing that rarely do you have to answer right away. Yes, you might have to intervene right away. Let's say you have a toddler or a preschooler who's running across the street. By all means, do what you need to do. But oftentimes what comes out is this avalanche of spewing anger that we actually don't need to do. We actually need to just go get them, bring them back to the side, think about it, breathe, and then respond and have that conversation. Glasses back on. So parenting pauses also allow me to calm the heck down before I respond, and this was a game changer. This technique is one of the best to stop unintentionally fueling an exhausting, angry child cycle. It's gotten easier over the years. The main reason? I've added other tools to my peaceful parenting toolbox, ones I'm grateful to share with you here. Luckily, these tools allow for mistakes and help us get back on track when we forget. While they're not instant fixes when used regularly, they can totally help you gain your child's respect into and past the teen years. I now have the pleasure of checking in with parents I counseled and coached over a decade ago, and I'm hearing similar peaceful parenting outcomes. Plus, past clients and students report being a more fulfilled and authentic version of themselves too. Extra bonus. So, in this chapter, you'll find 3 key bad attitude solutions. I invite you to take a good look at these if you want to seriously dial down angry, defensive, and rude child behavior. My not so hidden agenda: I want to help you say goodbye to the rolling eyes, those hurtful words. Maybe your kid says, like, I hate you from time to time, the general lip and pushback, like, no, you can't make me. If do you want the best chance of ending your child's bad attitude, then there are 3 things you'll need to do. Let's jump in. So, number 1, do some parenting soul searching to heal your past wounds. You know those trigger buttons that your child pushes, maybe ones you didn't even have until you became a parent? Well, what's at the source of these? Do some grown-up homework, be it counseling, coaching, or self-development courses that help you gain insight into your triggers. It'll also help unearth some of those unconscious held beliefs that are no longer serving you and certainly not them. So the real trick: embrace all your bits, even the awkward, the cringy, and embarrassing ones. Maybe some you feel really guilty about. Likely many you've ignored for years. Until we really know what's on the unconscious part of how we're reacting, only then can we really look at it and start changing it. Number 2. So this is the second secret to ending a child's bad attitude. Accept and embrace your unique child's quirks. This starts with cultivating a compassionate eye. What is that? What do I mean by that? Accepting your child as they are right now. While it's far easier to say than do, acceptance is essential if you want your child to trust and eventually listen to you. It also requires you recognize the secret hopes and fears you have for them, like wishing for a piano prodigy, a child who earns a spot on an A-level sports team, or maybe you badly want them to get a scholarship at a top university. Well, or our hopes and dreams aren't necessarily bad. They can and do feed a child's bad attitude, especially when we consciously or especially unconsciously pressure them with unshared expectations. So I'm going to invite you to think about that second one. You know, do you have something that you really want them to do? Maybe there's even a behavior that you're like, if they were only more organized, if they were only less dramatic, then they'd be fine, then they'd be good. But do you hear the desire to have them be something they're not? Now, have you ever had someone in your life put on those critical lenses and look at you and be pointing things out like, I don't like it when you do that. And really, you shouldn't be like that because then this will happen. Does that inspire you to connect with them, to listen to them? Sure doesn't me. Number 3, and it sure doesn't, I can almost guarantee if you have a stubborn child, it does not inspire them. The last one is to ditch your critical eye and love your child up. As a first step, I want you to consider tossing out the magnifying glass that focuses on their flaws. Instead, I want you to put on those like love goggles. You can easily do this by swapping out those "why can't you be" thoughts for more loving "oh, that's so you" thoughts. Letting go of judgment and embracing a desire for true understanding builds trust and respect. We can only do this, however, when we lead by example and search for those hidden strengths in your kiddo. And they exist, I promise you. And when we catch them being helpful, let them know. So in the last chapter, we already focused a lot on healing our past wounds. I highly recommend you continue this pursuit by way of coaching, books, or taking something like my Strong-Willed Child Parenting Transformation course. So in this chapter here, we're going to focus on the last 2 concepts and really drill down of how to do that. So for today, I'm going to stop there. Thank you so much. It's like my favorite book club. I get to highlight and hear from you. I want to hear from you. Does this make sense? Are there some things you're like, Kelly, yeah, but I don't know if that would work for my child? Or, yeah, I get you on that, but I'm thinking more along this lines. Or you have an example of something your child does that just drives you crazy and you'd really like to have changed. If so, if you're not yet a member of the Stubborn Child Solutions Facebook group, it's free. It's a wonderful community. I want you to come on over and join me there. And if you haven't heard lately, thank you for all you do day in, day out for your kiddos. Parenting is not a sprint. It is a marathon, my friend, and you are doing it. I'm sending lots of love and blessings from here. And I look forward to hearing from you and connecting again. Take care. Bye-bye.